Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Ruth Fearnow. She is a therapist, author, and speaker. And her first book, Therapeutic Mindfulness, is a synthesis of her decades-long meditation practice and her work healing mental trauma and mental distress. So we will be talking about that for sure. As of now, we'll be talking about letting go of feelings that hold you back. We'll talk all that to Ruth. Welcome to the show, Ruth.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit from what we'll be talking about. As you said, we'll talk about feelings. How can one process feelings so that they can be let go? So my first question to you, Ruth, is what are these feelings? Can they be controlled through whatever mechanism God has given me? Why are some people able to control them? Some people are not able to control them. They keep it all dumped into their brain, in their hearts and minds, in their being. Help us understand about these feelings, and then we will try and understand about how to let them go, what to let them go, and then that's all we will. It's very important for people because it can become a lot of burden for people.
It's really interesting, AJ. The answer that you asked is in your question. Okay, the answer is in the question. So you talked about how can we control the feelings? Can we control the feelings? And the funny thing is, we cannot fully control feelings. Our attempt to control feelings creates a battle inside us. And the longer we try to, the harder we try to control them, the more they push down. What you push down pushes back. What you resist persists. And guess what? What you repress, your body will express. So no, you can't. There's small ways that you can do it. There are tricks and tips and stuff you can use to control, like in the moment you can react differently or suppress them. But if that is your only thing that you try to do, they will push back if you push them down. So maybe short term you can, but ultimately this cannot be a long-term solution if you want any amount of health or happiness.
So what is the solution? Second thing I'll tell along with that is, Ruth, is that we human beings are full of emotions. Are emotions and feelings the same thing? If we remove emotions, then we are not left with anything. And if we remove feeling, then we are no less than robots. So I want to understand how do we keep things that are necessary? How do we remove things that are necessary to remove? How do we keep emotions? Because that is very important for us to survival. Many people keep emotions and memories for them, even if they are not so very good, but that help them, give them hope in one way or the other. These are difficult questions, no one right, but you are a therapist, you know about these things. A lot of people, especially in all different corners of the world, they transcend through different feelings and emotions all through their life. So maybe some sort of a guidance will help them understand themselves better, and maybe they will never be able to meet you, they will never be able to meet another therapist, but some guidance will always be helpful for them processing what feelings for them are.
Well, honestly, I mean, that's why I wrote the book. I came across something that is really powerful that people don't need me for. And I can only see how many people in a week, less than 40, less than 30 if I don't want to burn out, right? So I wrote this book about therapeutic mindfulness, which is one method. But essentially, the principle is that you don't get rid of them. You don't let them go. What you can do that's effective is you can learn how to listen to them with your whole heart. And when you listen to feelings, and they feel heard enough, they feel truly nourished, they will let you go, and then you move on. That's how it works.
Okay. You talk about, integrating age-old wisdom with trauma-informed insight. What does that mean? Means people sometimes say, we are in the new age, we have to look at things very differently. You talk about old age wisdom to deal with things, to deal with feelings created by so many present day situations.
Yeah, what happened with me, it's funny because in a way, I tend to do things on my own. My spiritual journey and my self-growth journey was very much a solo event. When I was 25, which was years ago, I went to visit China. I was off the grid in the Himalayan mountains at a school near Shaolin. And, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have water, and we were studying Kung Fu and Qigong. And I started a serious practice trying to learn how to meditate. And I was reading these books from Eastern authors. And that's when it began. And so I spent a decade after that, before I even went to school to be a therapist, learning how to meditate, trying different things, trying something that's called guided visualization, trying emptying my mind, trying all these different things. And it's very much a solo practice. And then I became a therapist. And as a therapist, my focus was trauma. And then I learned EMDR, which is a really deep trauma processing therapy. And as that stuff came in, I started to understand how the mind works on a deeper level. And that, with my meditation practice, I developed therapeutic mindfulness. Then I started coming into contact with other people who meditate, other people who do visualizations, other people who do contemplative prayer, all these like mindfulness type practices. And I learned that a lot of people that have been trying to figure out how not to feel bad, when they learn this stuff, it feels so good that they try to use it as a new way to suppress and to avoid. Oh my gosh, my husband yelled at me, we have a fight. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm at the beach. I hear the waves, and they'll just avoid it. And I'll teach coping skills, right? If I'm in the store and I want to cry, or if I'm out in public and I want to punch someone in the face, that's a great time for a coping skill. Let's shove that down so I don't get arrested and get me home, right? After I get home, what do? That's when it's time for healing skills. That's when it's time to go into the feeling and listen to it. You're telling me something. Something here is hurt in my heart. Why would you want to punch someone in the face if something wasn't hurt in your heart? Yes, people who meditate get angry, just so everyone knows. So that's when I go into my heart and I say, what's going on? And this is not a logical thing. Actually, I just listen to the emotion and how it shows up in my body until it feels heard. And that is the process of therapeutic mindfulness that I write about. And once it's all the way heard, it's able to start letting go. And you can feel that process in your body. So I get just, from the way you're asking me questions, apparently the way I see things is kind of different. So I wonder if it's different for you to hear. But it is about emotions are not bad. They're information, but they're also hurt. And if we can learn how to sit with them, then we flow through that hurt and go on to the next thing. That's how it lets go of you. That's how you move on. That's how you process emotions. New emotions will come to give you more information. And if you process them, you don't get stuck in life.
Right. Ruth, you talk about, therapeutic mindfulness instead of traditional mindfulness. And earlier we talked about age-old wisdom that is traditional. So how are these two things you are calibrating at the same time? In mindfulness, you are living out the old and going for therapeutic mindfulness. Help us understand, where to choose age-old wisdom, where to choose something much more new.
It's funny because I don't consider what I teach, this is ironic, absolutely new. But it's almost like there's no new thoughts, there's no new wisdom. But I've packaged it in a very Western friendly way. You do not need years in a mountain meditating. You do not need to have you don't need a trained mind. I've found a way through some of the trauma work that I've done to help people get that focus without the mind training. And it works for a lot of people that have never done this before. Some people may still need help, but there's a lot of people that can do this. So to answer your question, age-old wisdom, mindfulness, if you look at any mindfulness practice, mindfulness, grounding, meditation, contemplative meditation, guided visualization, all of these things, mindfulness with the senses, they have two components. So mindfulness is non-judgmental, focused attention. Those are the two components. So what I do, because I've learned that people, when they learn this and it's so relaxing, they'll use it to push away feelings. The only thing I've done is given a process. Hey, guess what? When you feel bad, if I have anger, if I have fear, if I have, really intense emotions come up, what we do is we take non-judgmental, focused attention and go to the feeling. And we do that with the body. So if you are feeling really, really anxious, where does that show up in your body? Can you find?
Right. It all depends, because I don't have that much of fear. Sometimes I feel it in my mind. Sometimes you feel it in your heart. Sometimes you feel it in your stomach. I don't know. It all just, yes.
Absolutely. Right. So you've got it. Heart, chest, stomach. Some people get the clenching in the throat. Some people get pressure in their head. So when we have emotions, remember what your mind represses, your body expresses. Your mind's going to push it down because you have to function today. We need to do that. So where are the emotions? They're in your body. So using therapeutic mindfulness, what I teach people is we're going to use that mindfulness. We're going to go into the feeling. Oh, it's in my heart and it's squeezing right here and it feels so heavy and so hard. So I teach these body focusing questions that help people focus in on that. Okay. And once they're super focused in on that, their story in their head, that's gone. All they have is the squeezing in the heart, right? Or whatever the feeling is. And then the next thing I do is we've got focused attention. The next thing I do is I bring in the non-judgment and put them together. And I tell them, okay, let the feeling be there. Let it be uncomfortable. Let it squeeze. Let it be big. And I prompt them through shifting their mindset to non-judgment. Oh, there's a feeling here and it's squeezing. Let's listen to it. And I'm telling you, like sometimes a feeling gets real big at first, like, oh, you're going to listen to me and they'll squeeze real hard. And then if we don't reject that part of ourselves, if we keep listening, okay, go ahead and squeeze, I'm here. When we do that, the feeling starts to say, oh my gosh, they're listening to me. And it starts to relax and it starts to feel relief that it is not alone. It is not exiled, that we are with it. And I see people start to heal and you see it in the body. And usually like in that kind of thing where it's a squeezing, they'll start to let go and they'll start to dissipate and fan out and then it's gone. And then they can go to exactly what made their heart hurt, look at it and be like, it's okay, we'll get through it. It's no problem. And it's just gone. It's just gone, the hard part. So mindfulness, the age-old wisdom, which I did not create, is that non-judgmental, focused attention together is mindfulness. And what I've done is, guess what? Here's a step-by-step way to get out of your story, out of your analysis, to go to the body. I can teach you how to get that focused attention with the body focusing questions. And then I can teach you about non-judgment with what I call the allowing phrases. All those are downloads on my website, ruthfearnow.com. You can download it for free. It's right there. Please use it. And so using those two tools, they can access mindfulness to go into the body. And I got those tools both from my own practice. And then some of those I got from some of the trauma therapies that I did. Just gave me the idea and they came together in this process. And I tell you, It works.
Right, Ruth. You talk about, keep the feelings, deal with them. So how long do you deal with those feelings and then till they go out? Because it can be quite painful, and especially people who do not know how to deal with them. How long will these feelings stay? If it is hurtful, at the same time you talk about self-compassion. Again, how do these two things work together? If I have compassion about me, I will throw out anything that hurts me. How do I keep those feelings still that hurt me and wait for them to go away? What is the process? Where have you dealt? Have you dealt that in your book? or is there anywhere on
Oh,
your
actually, the
website?
self-compassion chapter in my book is my favorite chapter because that's vital. Healing. I can clinch healing down into one sentence. Judgment blocks healing. Self-compassion nurtures healing. It facilitates healing. So it's a great question. You think, okay, if I have a bad feeling, I'm going to cut it out because it hurts. All right. So if you have someone in your life, if you have, and I'm just going to be ridiculous here, but if you have a small child in your life and something happens and they're hurt and they're crying and it hurts you to see that, I'll cut them out because it hurt me to see them crying. You see, that doesn't work. And it would, that's not how we deal with it. We hold and nurture the child, but it's important to have that. So one of my basic pitches is that our feelings is part of us. If we cut it out, we're telling ourselves that part of ourselves is not acceptable, not okay. And we do. We definitely judge ourselves really harshly. But if that part of us that's acting out, angry, hurt, scared, if we see that part like a child that's crying or a child that's acting out, and we say, I see you, I'm listening, I'm telling you, it will transform and it will tell us, like, we'll understand more deeply our reactions and our ability to see ourselves and others in pain deepen, our compassion deepens. But in the beginning, if we don't have compassion for that part, because there are parts of us that we don't like, right? Luckily, you don't have to start with, oh, mush, mush, compassion. You don't have to start with that. You can start with just non-judgment. Okay, it's squeezing my heart. That's uncomfortable. Okay, I'll just watch it. I'll let it be there. Just non-judgment will start the process. And eventually, this starts to help, like doing this and practicing this, people will develop compassion after. Like if you get a big, angry, ugly feeling and you're like, okay, I'm just going to watch what happens. And the feeling starts to shift and change and move in your body and it goes away. And underneath it, you find this vulnerable fear. And then you sit with that fear and you watch it and you hold it and it shifts and changes and heals. And then you have deeper insight. The next time you get angry, you don't hate it as much. You're like, there's something here. And you start to gain an understanding. So we don't have to start with all the compassion, which is one thing that's so beautiful about this process. All we have to do is, what is it like to be in a neutral state and not judge it? It's very strange. I'm angry. I don't like being angry. Let me just not judge it and just be curious. And that changes everything.
Right, right. Help us understand through the way you deal with your clients. What are these mostly people, because you are a therapist, what are these people mostly coming for? What are they seeking that they are not able to deal with them? Secondly, when you talk also about blocks that keep us from healing, is how is it that some people you are able to heal very fast, some people keep themselves that whole process is blocked and that will take extra effort? Why is it that some people are open to whatever you do? Why is it that some people are not? I want to understand through, so that we can get the contemporary questions that people are generally coming to you for. And secondly, through that, how people can learn about themselves, especially, if you are blocking yourself from getting healed.
You know, that was something I wondered a lot when I was a newer, greener therapist. Just so you know, idiom here, green means like you're fresher and you don't have much experience. So when I was still learning and I didn't work for myself, I worked for an agency. And there's a woman that came to see me for a year and a half. Now in therapy, one thing that we believe is that we need to actually see and perceive our client with unconditional positive regard. And I see this woman and it's not hard. She's got kindness, she's got compassion, she's depressed, she's, in a victim state, but there's not a cruel bone in her body. I can see good things about her. I can see her with compassion. And she came to me for a year and a half. She kept coming back. So something there she liked, and yet I tell you, as far as I can tell, I don't think she changed at all. I don't think I helped her. I mean, maybe I did, maybe I planted a seed, but I couldn't see any improvement in a year and a half. And other people I see for a few months and they're done. They're so much better, right? So what's the difference? And what I've come to believe is that I can see her, I can see goodness in her, I can see positives all day long until the sun goes down, all year long. And if she doesn't accept any of that for herself, she won't get better. I see her with compassion and she rejects it. Well, you're just nice. Well, you must not really see me. If you really understood who I am, you would hate me too. Like, if you don't absorb some of the belief that you might be okay, that there might be something good about you, you don't heal. And so that goes back to the fundamental: judgment blocks healing every time, 100% of the time. And self-compassion facilitates healing, it nurtures it. And I think she was blocked with that.
Right.
So
So is this a personality issue, or is this, say, mental block created by your own self? And if they are coming to a therapist, they expect that, that there is some resolution to that, or is it not possible? Then what do you do with such people, especially if they are part of your family, or you yourself are like that?
yeah, so analyzing why, it's kind of a funny thing. A lot of times when people ask me the why questions, I really have a good analytical mind, but in general, if people are stuck on that, I'll say, if you knew why, would it help? Because sometimes the answer is no. But the why answer to why people do this is really a philosophical question. I could see threads of it being personality traits. I could see threads of that coming from childhood and what they learn as a parent. If you believe in past lives, that could be a karmic issue that you're dealing with. I mean, so it really depends on your philosophy. Regardless, they're blocked because the judgment is in place. And I have had people, like, now that I am more of a master therapist. Back then I was learning, and I didn't know why it wasn't helping, and I didn't know what to do, but I learned from that. And now I've had people come to me that don't have that self-compassion, and it's harder to break through that. I have more therapy tools to break through it, but once it starts to break through, they start to be able to heal, because a little bit of self-compassion, then it starts to heal, and then it opens up more capacity for self-compassion. So the why is very subjective, but I can tell you that it is a practice. And the more you do that, the more you're able to do that, which means growth can sometimes start really slow and then can accelerate as you practice. So no
Right.
quick fixes, no magic pills, hard work, but worth it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So those people who are really serious about getting rid of their pain, their feelings, the wrong sort of feelings, how they can prepare themselves to get rid? You can, let me ask you this: what factors can facilitate our healing, so that before I come to you, I am a bit more prepared, ready to receive your advice? What factors, what is it that I can do? Like, you go for a any other blood test, or you are prepared, you start it from the night before itself. How is there something like this that you can do before meeting a person like you?
Just persistence and practice. Before meeting me, during meeting me, after meeting me, persistence and practice. I let people know when they're done with me, the growth isn't done. The obstacles in life aren't done. It's just persistence and practice. I put in my book, when I write about this, there must be 4 or 5 times where I'm like, have you tried it yet? Are you practicing? Because there's no amount of knowledge that can replace this. This has to be an experience. It has to be an experience, and it is a skill. So it has to be practiced. If somebody finds this very difficult, they can start on smaller emotions. And if there's a lot of if there's just so much intensity that they can't do it, then they can start working with a professional to be able to do that. But there are a lot of people that, are functioning fairly well in life, but have all of these things to work through. There are a lot of people that can do it on their own, but just persistence and practice. And I'm telling you, if they start practicing this on something that's fairly mild, and they have, or maybe medium, and they have success, and they start practicing it, they will start to experience how they feel after, and they will start to develop, we talk about beliefs. this part's bad, I need to make it go away. And so part of you is unacceptable. If you suppress things, that's something you're telling yourself. If you avoid things, you're telling yourself that thing is too scary. If you face it and you get to the other side and it's healed, just a little bit of you starts to believe, I was able to do that. And then you do it again and again. And more of you believes, my feelings aren't too much. And you keep doing it and you start to believe, I'm stronger than my feelings. I can handle feelings. They won't overwhelm me. And maybe I'm worth doing this. You start to see the compassion. You start to feel it. So these things, that's what develops. But it has to be a practice. So persistence and practice.
Absolutely. Who is this book for? Your first book, Therapeutic Mindfulness. Who is this book for? Can general people read it? Will they follow? Is there a danger of them following it wrongly and make the situation worse?
Yes. Yeah, there is. I talk about some theory of the mind and all that. And then on the chapter where I talk about the process of therapeutic mindfulness, I do put in a warning about symptoms of disconnecting from your mind or your body. There are certain people that have so much trauma or so much emotional avoidance that they can't face it alone. So I give a list of symptoms. If you have these symptoms, if you ever feel like something's happening to you and you can see it, but it's not you, it's like another person. If you've ever blacked out and lost time without any drugs or alcohol, you just lost time, you've blacked out from something because it was so upsetting. Symptoms like this, you absolutely need to be working with a professional, with a very knowledgeable trauma professional. But if you can feel some emotions without it overwhelming you, maybe you've never been able to resolve them, but if you can handle it, then you can do this.
Right. There is much to learn about all these things, Ruth, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to learn directly from you. I can only ask questions for them, but they will have to ask more questions from you. So what is the best way for them to learn from you? Best way for them if they want to connect with you in a client doctor capacity?
For better or for worse, connecting to me as being my client, that is probably nearly impossible because I am licensed in my local state only in the US. And also I'm always full. But what I want to teach this so more people can learn than just my 30 clients, right? So you can learn from my book, you can learn from podcasts, and I am open to speaking and teaching. When I do speaking engagements, I demonstrate it. Like I won't go an hour before I demonstrate this because like I said, nothing replaces the actual experience. So if someone wants to learn from me, read my book, get a group together and have me come in and speak, and I will show you what it looks like. And if it's a longer workshop, I walk everyone through the process so they can all have that experience. That's really the best. But again, I can only see so many people. And so I wrote it all down. And it's not a complex process. Some people, there's some cases that are a little bit more complex, but the basics are wide open for everyone to use. Now remember, just because it's a simple process doesn't mean it's easy, at least not at first. It can be simple and hard, but it is simple. And it's out there for everyone.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.